So we are starting with transport because that is a top topic. Caloundra residents are currently faced with highly congested roads and a lack in public and active infrastructure. What is your commitment for addressing these major transport infrastructure shortfalls in and around Caloundra? Time start.
So the business case for the two villains in Caloundra as far as roads go are the two roundabouts. Both of those business cases are underway. The one at the Nicholson Way roundabout that business case has just started. The one at the Bells Creek arterial, that is just about complete. But that's insofar as roads go. Roads are only part of the solution. We can keep building roads and chasing our tail with roads forever, amen. And you'll never ever have enough lanes and enough roads and enough slip lanes to cover the growth in traffic. So we have to look at other areas and other means. Better public transport, cheaper public transport like the 50-cent fares that are being rolled out now, and the largest public transport infrastructure project that the Sunshine Coast has ever seen. In the first instance, it's coming into Caloundra at a mere $5.5 billion, and this has been talked about for such a long time. This is the core sample from the very first drilling rig that has already started work. This is a $5.5 billion piece of rock, essentially. This was such a long time coming. And to address the point about the coverage of the political coverage, one party held this seat for 116 years. The member before me was a cabinet minister. The member before him was the state treasurer of Queensland. And the member before her was a premier, and the member before him was another premier. So these infrastructure shortfalls, the buck passing, that doesn't wash anymore. So the two business cases are up, and it's important that if we're going to get these major transport infrastructure projects up, that we do not undercook the figures. So you cannot talk about, is that me? Oh, you can't talk about $1.5 billion worth of costing with a $400 million envelope.
Well done. And when I say well done, I mean on time. I'm not assessing what they're saying. I'm totally independent. I'm also a very active listener, so I nod a lot. That's also just me being an active listener and not agreeing or disagreeing. Kendall, would you like to give us your 2-minute response to that question?
Okay, so the number one issue for this electorate over and over again is traffic congestion. So we have, as I said, only held government once in this electorate or in this state in the last 34 years. So there has been a complete and utter lack of infrastructure investment, particularly over the last decade. So we have committed to $400 million for 5 critical road projects in Caloundra. Now, this is a significant investment, and it is $400 million more than any other state electorate, any other amount of funding that we've seen. Now, those 5 projects are designed to do 2 things on the back of identifying the 9 pain points around the electorate where traffic doesn't flow, and also any and all transport studies, feasibility studies, business cases, those things. So the 2 things it's designed to do are 1, keep traffic moving around the electorate, and 2, direct traffic off Caloundra Road, provide alternate access routes so we can get around. So traffic infrastructure is so critical for you guys, number 1, over and over again, but this commitment also includes that every single one of these projects will commence in the next term of government. Now, from a statewide perspective, whatever happens, that's fine. Here in Caloundra, this is what we need. We've still got 35,000 people to go into Aura. We've got Biwa East earmarked. Our population has grown so rapidly and the infrastructure simply doesn't meet it, not for now or in the future. An LNP government has also acknowledged that public transport is a very important part of that plan, and part of that plan is to take the heavy rail all the way through to Maroochydore. It will be an embarrassment if we have the greatest event in South East Queensland here in 2032 and the rail stops here, making Caloundra a car park on the 4th most congested intersection in Queensland.
Thank you so much. So the Greens are definitely committed to reducing the problem behind dual traffic congestion, and that is by improving public transport. We want to transition to free public transport by 2026 and improve infrastructure, frequency and coverage to manage that increased demand. We're going to have frequent public transport at a minimum of 15 minutes, similar to the current City Glider services in Brisbane. It's great that Labor and LNP have picked up on our long-standing policy for cheap public transport, but too many people are still missing out on the 50-cent fares because public transport coverage in the area is so poor. We will create new high-frequency buses all over Queensland, boost the rail network in southeast Queensland. We're going to talk about that shortly as well. Invest in more bus lanes to cut traffic, and also a Sunshine Coast rapid transit system. We want to make public transport a real option for everyone. Part of that can be funded by pulling out of the current private ticketing contracts. So currently we're paying an external contractor to ticket for these 50-cent fares. It's costing us more money than we're collecting, and we're also paying people to chase up and fine people $700 for avoiding a 50-cent fare. You can all see that that's ridiculous. So that's our main plan, is that rapid transition to frequent and free public transport for you. Thank you.